If you have a question for any of these three gentlemen from Gibbs Racing, please raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start over here with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question's for Denny. Denny, 2311 is going to be its third full year. What are your expectations for this team? What would constitute a successful year from your perspective on the owner side? And then two, what gains have you seen from this team from year one to where it is now?
As far as expectations, both making the playoffs, I think, is a reasonable goal. Bubba will have to take a little bit of a jump to do that, but I think that certainly the performance he's had at the end of last year kind of showed what his potential is. So I think both making the playoffs, and then if they can get into the round of 12 and keep going, then that's going to be a pretty successful year for us. The difference in year one to now, just more employees, certainly in the growing and building stage, and so just a lot more team chemistry. I think we did have a very small group in year one, year two. We've continued to build on that each year, but really it's just continuing to get better. I mean, I don't know, it's a cliche thing, but I want to continue to see us move up the standings and our drivers win more races. We won one in year one, two in year two, so I want to keep seeing that grow.
Let's go to Dustin. Dustin, want to raise your hand?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Denny, as a team owner, what is the value of an event like this? Obviously, the rating was strong last year, but also on the other side of it, the purse is about $2.1 million, so it's essentially the smallest purse out there. There's a cost involved for the teams to be out here. So, what is the value combining that and everything else for you guys as from the team ownership perspective?
The value is the location. I think is the biggest thing. Is that a lot of the team sponsors probably are headquartered somewhere near here. So the value and the activation that comes with that is valuable. It's also valuable to introduce new fans to the sport. So I think that with roughly 40% of the audience that's going to show up this weekend, going to be new audience members in our sport. It just helps grow the sport in general. So it's kind of a pretty positive thing from that standpoint.
Next we'll go to John, Zach, Jeff, and then John.
JohnNewbyHeavy.com. Ty, how does it feel taking on this unique event, and have you leaned on any of your teammates for any advice about this style of track?
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool to be a part of this, and I feel like most of my family kind of grew up in Southern California, and my cousins went to school right down the street. So pretty cool to be here and kind of experience that. And yeah, definitely been leaning off these guys for advice, and I feel like this will be a good weekend for our Toyotas.
Zach.
Zach Sternberg with NASCAR.com. Denny, for you, as an owner, you had Ty in the car last year. What did you see through his growth as a driver in the Cup Series, and how prepared are you to have him as a teammate heading into the season?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great advantage for him to get some seat time before his rookie season. Some of these tracks he's going to see for the second time. Certainly has the notebook. Chris Gill has the notebook from our team that he's going to be able to lean on and have feedback to make his cars better right from the get-go. So from me and my standpoint of view, what I saw out of him was just steady progression of getting better, and it doesn't necessarily have to come in finishes, but just competitiveness. So these guys they're going to be fast. They're someone that what's important to me is to have teammates that are very good and competitive, because that's more information that my team can use. And with the giant jump that Christopher took over the last year or so, it's really helped all of our teams to be better. And so Ty will take time, and it's going to take some patience there, but these two guys have got speed, and that's something that I'm certainly going to lean on to try to find out how I can be better myself. So.
And then just to follow up on that, Ty, how did you feel like you improved from that kind of last-minute start at Pocono through the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely a big jump there for sure, and just getting more time in the car. This car is so different, and more of the times I was in it, I feel like I was learning and getting more used to the car and how it handles and how it is. So I think all of the time was a progression and just keep moving forward.
Go to Jeff.
Denny, in December, back here, sorry, you tweeted that your top 5 drivers ever were Earnhardt, Johnson, Pearson, Gordon, Petty. Why Earnhardt P1?
Just generally speaking, I think that he got the most out of the car he had right from the get-go. The team that he drove for, I don't know that was an up-front team. He just took it to the top right from the get-go. So just from the raw skill perspective, I mean, I hate I never got to race against him, but just from what you saw as a fan and now someone who's in the sport, it was just an amazing moves that he made, and you could just see that he was really, he had a really good car through the prime of his career, and he was, Childress is a top tier team, but he just got more out of it than everyone else.
Jim?
Denny, a few of us spent some time at TRD the other day. We talked about the changes to the rear clip. One of the things David Wilson says is nobody knows maybe what you sacrificed to address that. Is that a true concern, and where do you feel headed into the season with the changes made to the car?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to sacrifice something. I don't think anything's for free. When you soften something else takes more load. I mean, the load is what it is, so if something takes away from that, then something else gets it. So I don't think we really know exactly yet. I know through the test at COTA, there were some things shook loose in the back of the car that we didn't necessarily plan for, but again, this car's really still early in its stages, so we're just going to have to learn as we go, honestly. I don't really have the answer of what it is. It's going to, the cause and effect, because there will be some sort of effect.
And Christopher, you made some news on the David Gravel podcast that you're not going to be able to do any extra racing anymore. What's that been like to process for you?
Yeah, so, I feel like I need to, clear the air a little bit, and, my comments made on that definitely did not reflect my situation, my relationship with Joe, or, my standing with the team. Joe himself, the entire Gibbs family has been nothing but, helpful for me and inspiring for me. And Joe has not one time mentioned any sort of dislike for dirt track racing. The only thing was just his, wanting to keep me healthy, whether that was racing or being out on the lake or anything. He just had my best interest in mind, and I did a bad job of portraying that. So, I don't know what the future holds for me dirt track racing, but my comments were not well put.
I think it pretty much means Joe values him for the long term and he needs him around. People like me, it's just like, whatever you do, man.
We'll go here in the back and then to Holly. Right behind you.
Denny Hamlin with Crossrush.com. Denny, have you heard anything from Kurt regarding his health, and has he expressed interest in any specific dates that he would really like to participate in? Any events?
Honestly, I haven't asked him. He's been traveling all over the place, and certainly he's here this weekend to help our drivers out. But obviously, we're doing a third car in Daytona simply because we want to be prepared and be competitive if the day comes where he says he wants to race again.
Holly?
Christopher, I just wanted to ask you a little bit. I mean, I would assume that you come into this season with a whole lot of extra confidence after the way you raced last year, getting to the championship 4. Can you just maybe tell us a little bit about, I hate to say how it feels different, but it must in some way, and kind of how your expectations have risen?
Yeah, I mean, last year was just such a learning curve, and I keep harping on the fact that we didn't really have practice and qualifying in 2021. And then in 2022, it really allowed myself and Adam to hone in on what I need in the car to be successful. And hope that just continues to get better and better. So, I think everyone in the garage area will say that their car this weekend at the Clash is going to be incredibly different than what they had a year ago here. So, I expect myself and Adam, to continue to gel and hopefully have more pace and more results. But I think at the end of the year, our performance on track was matching our results a little bit better, and hopefully we can continue that.
Go back to Jordan for a follow-up.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic, this is for anybody who wants to answer. Could this race go from being an exhibition, non-points race, to something that's a points race and has a place on the regular season schedule?
I'll let the veteran answer that one.
I mean, sure. I think NASCAR, whatever deems it's important to them, I'm sure that having a race in this area is going to be very important. With the talk of the 2-mile oval in Fontana, having one more and then maybe taking a year off while it rebuilds. Certainly, I think they're going to be open to options, and maybe this does fall in that slot, and we go somewhere else for the Clash, possibly.
Go to John and then Jeff.
John, newbieheavy.com. Christopher, with Kyle moving on and then Martin kind of taking it year by year, have you had to become more vocal and kind of step into a leadership role?
I don't think so. I think our Denny with his experience and Martin with his experience, they're going to be the leaders for the time being. But I do feel like I've gotten a little bit more confident in my feedback and ability to provide useful information to the team. Just whenever you're new, I don't think it always takes time to learn what's good and what's bad. And so I do think that I've been able to provide more useful information, but the veterans will, they'll be the leaders until they decide to hang it up.
Jeff?
For Christopher, you've raced under a lot of different formats. Obviously, like the concept of not having a full field for NASCAR and LCQ with real consequences is still somewhat new for this sport. Do you like this format, like that they're using at the Clash this weekend? Could there be tweaks that you think would be good to see?
I'm a big fan of sending people home. Denny being a car owner probably doesn't feel the same way, but the making it competitive and having some sort of risk whenever you go to qualify, I think has some value in the sport. So it would be awesome if we could get 50 to 60 cars in the garage where we're qualifying for the race like they had years ago. But as far as the format here, I'm okay with it. It's something different. I don't know that I'd want to run heat races every week, but I think I think it's a good addition to the Clash.
Go up here in the front row to Luis.
Luis Marcel Portillo finish. This question is for Denny. We saw last year that Tyler had a strong run. It has kind of been alluded by Christopher. Will the differences of the cars this time around really will impact the performances? Like the guys that did well last year, it's hard to tell they're going to do better this season?
I wouldn't bank on that, simply because some teams are just out of left field because they haven't run this type of car on this small, short type of track before. I know that we kind of probably leaned on some Martinsville stuff when we came here, but that stuff was terrible here and it was terrible in the first Martinsville, but we fixed Martinsville, and hopefully it fixes here. So I think that you're probably, and like Chris said, it's going to be so much about qualifying and track position as well that I think your contenders you're going to probably find out by the end of the night.
Okay, well, we'll wrap with that. Thank you so much, Denny, Ty, and Chris.